Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, July 23rd. We started late, so it's pretty late now that we're on the Americas account. Let's click through here. That's back in one day. Let's see if we can trade out. I don't really want to trade this out since it's double gold right now. So we can do this: play 20 Murlocs easily, play 20 Hunter class cards, win 3 games with a major shaman. Not the super easy to do the victories, but it might not be too bad since shaman is the Murloc deck anyways. We've got a ton of news. We had news left over from Friday, and starting late certainly didn't help that. So let's hop into it and try to rush this through as fast as possible. There's a game on Steam called Tango 5 Reloaded Grid Action Heroes Open Beta. It doesn't have the early access tag, so this is an online only game. It's free to play. It's reviewed mixed at 64% of 95 user reviews since coming out July 18th. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter game, real-time tactics type game. It doesn't look terrible at all. It's pretty polished, frankly. But since it's a multiplayer game, I wouldn't play it, and since it's mixed reviews, I can't really suggest anybody else play it. It's English and Korean, so take that for whatever that means. PC Gamer has an article. The Half-Life 2 writer was surprised by Mark Laidlaw's decision to publish Episode 3 synopsis. Chet Felicek speaks out about Laidlaw's Half-Life 2's Epistle 3 fanfic. This is I guess a follow-up to the fact that Laidlaw put out that Half-Life 3 story after kind of not working with Valve, leaving Valve. Let's see. This article is really not saying anything. They just have a quote here that says, I was surprised by it coming out. I'll let Mark speak for that. And that's kind of all he says, Mark Laidlaw. So they've stretched one response where he didn't really want to give a response at all.
What if?
Like, I don't understand why you'd release it either, because inherently it's not just screwing over your former employer by releasing a story that they may have wanted to use, or they may have wanted to purchase from you, or maybe they had the rights to already. It's screwing over yourself out of the community, because now, like, I don't think anybody in the video game development community would rightfully want to hire him, because he's a leaky pipe now. It's like he'll release information that the company wouldn't want out there, and frankly, I could have seen hiring him and saying, oh, you've got this story for Half-Life 3? Come over to our company and we'll let you write it, and we'll just set it in a different world and change some things so we don't get sued. But apparently, instead of doing that, he's committed to ruining his own career out of what I can only assume is frustration. But yeah, this is not an article to say somebody else was surprised. Everybody was surprised. Let's see. Yeah, that's not really an article that needs to be talked about. PC Gamer has an updated version. Report on Saudi Arabia's banned video games inaccurate. Parentheses updated. A formal correction following the week's Associated Press report. The update. It says, as detailed in our original story below, an Associated Press report issued earlier this week suggested Saudi Arabia's General Commission for Audiovisual Media planned to ban 47 popular games following the suicides of 2 children. According to people working in the area's games industry and with the Saudi General Commission of Audiovisual Media, this report is false. Most of the games were banned the moment they were launched in the country, and some neighboring countries are used for nudity or excessive violence and other cultural topics, sometimes related to religion. Nazif Fares, head of PR and marketing for Middle East esports operator Power League Gaming, tells us. And see, that's kind of what I thought too, is that I don't think there needs to be that there are these formal announcements of bans or anything. It's just like, I think they have general laws and general rules, and you just kind of know that you're not allowed to play these games in the first place. And I imagine a lot of people in the Middle East still play them even if they are banned, but they know they'd be in trouble if they were caught. So the whole story sounded very odd from the word go, but it was an Associated Press story, so I wasn't really questioning it. Associated Press is supposed to be better than that. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Ferris talks more with GameIndustry.biz. Maybe I should be following them on Twitter. Interesting thought. Currently, the quote ban of the games, the ban quote of games has been quite rare because GCAM and other Middle East rating boards like the National Media Council in the United Arab Emirates actually work hand in hand with game publishers either directly or via official distributors working. For example, in the case of The Witcher 3, which I started working on its localization, the game was localized in Arabic with subtitles in language, but also reducing the nudity and removing other cultural topics from the game that could be problematic. It was similar to the Japanese version of the game, for example. Which, that's kind of funny in The Witcher 3's part, because the CD Projekt Red made a specific point to say they weren't going to censor their game for the Western release, but I guess for Eastern releases and Middle Eastern releases, they still had to. It says, quote, yes, Ubisoft has not had any banned games in the past 5 years outside of Watch Dogs 2 and South Park, which is testament to the GCAM's improving nature. Wow, this almost feels like this is a attempt to get a controversy to then correct the controversy. The end of the update says, we've contacted the Associated Press on the matter. Yeah, and there's really nothing to say more in the original story.
Must protect the wild for Doomhammer.
And it might very well be the case that we're still not getting the full story. If I put my tinfoil hat on and speculate, maybe games aren't actually banned in those countries. They're just not sold anywhere. And if you try to sell them anywhere, maybe some secret police type person comes up to you and says, don't sell that game or we'll throw you in jail, or we'll fine you, or it'll cause trouble for you. Maybe that's really the level of it. Particularly in the Middle East, I would not be surprised if a lot of things aren't technically illegal, just so it looks like it's a free and open democratic society, but you know you can't do it. Certainly in the United States, particularly in previous decades, things have been technically legal. For instance, the Equal Rights Clause was introduced, but there was many years in the United States where segregation was implemented to systematically still not give equal rights to African Americans and other minorities, and there was a lot of fight and pushback to finally get to the point where we're at least mostly giving equal rights to everybody in the United States. But the idea of separate but equal and segregation was pushed very heavily, and similar ideas could be going on still around the world, everywhere. So yeah, I think I'll start following gamesindustry.biz if I can find a Twitter link somewhere on their homepage.
I wonder.
Let's see, follow us, Twitter. I'll start following them, and because of that, then I can maybe get rid of Rock Paper Shotgun or Gamma Sutra. We'll see what kind of overlap there is in what they're reporting. Moving on, Your Gamer has an article. Here's Claire's new look in Resident Evil 2's remake. Claire Redfield. It seems like it's really just one screenshot, and it's not even a screenshot. It's a advertisement for Harley Davidson motorcycles. Also, she looks a lot less polygon-y, of course, because of course Claire Redfield and everybody in Resident Evil 2 was very polygon-y. It's a very old game. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to watch the trailer, which shows what she looks like in the original opening cutscene of Resident Evil 2. There is also a bit of news on the Resident Evil 2 remake. They're not planning on doing VR. Fine by me. Inherently, though, we have several questions, like, where are they going? Actually, she doesn't look too bad. She's not terribly polygony, even in whatever video I'm watching now. But the remake makes her definitely look a lot better. I bet this ad that looks like a real person just sitting on a Harley Davidson is, I bet it's probably more realistic than she will actually look in the game. Let's see. That. Yeah, there's some question certainly about what are they gonna do? Are they gonna remake Resident Evil 3? And then are they gonna remake Code Veronica and several other games? Are they eventually gonna get to Resident Evil 4 before the mod that's HDifying Resident Evil 4 is done? Like, where also in this is Capcom Japan versus Capcom US? Like, can they really hand the reins over to the Capcom US so that we get Capcom Japan away from the Resident Evil series so their games are actually good? Or is this always just going to be, more likely it's always going to be like one game is made by Capcom Japan and one game is made by Capcom US, and so one game is going to be good and one is going to be a formulaic bad version of Resident Evil games. When you look at the series, it's kind of exactly that. You've got Resident Evil 4 is good, Resident Evil 5 not so good, Resident Evil 6 way off the rails bad, and then Resident Evil 7 is good for the parts that the US team made. And this is not just jingoism or love for United States creation. The first half of that game was made by the US team. The part where you're doing a very generic Resident Evil game of being on a ship, which we've seen done so many times in Resident Evil, was the Asian side, the Japanese side. At least that's what I've heard. Let's see. Okay. Moving on though, I'm supposed to be rushing through games. We've got a game called Don't Play With the Dolls. It's 90% positive with 10 user reviews, but that's not very many. It's an action-adventure horror game, and I don't know if I really trust this as a good horror game, but because it's one of these dark screenshot syndrome games. You're wandering around the place and looking at things and being spooked. Seems like the dolls can see you. This might be a Five Nights at Freddy's-esque clone. But Don't Play With the Dolls is $2.99. So I feel like I should probably wishlist this. The other game that they've released is also mostly positive, but only has 10 user reviews. So that's the flaw with that system inherently, is you can get 10 people to review your game positively and then never have another 10 people even play it.
Job's done.
But I'll keep Don't Play With the Dolls on the wish list. I'm not sure, since it's one of these horror games that I probably don't want to play just because they bore me. I'm not sure I'd ever really do it. Next game we have on Steam is called Rampage of the Dead. It is a action casual indie first person shooter game. Basically it's an asset flip. I think I may have even talked about this game before. It's 20% off for $3.99. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's a low effort first person shooter. You're shooting monsters. Seems like there's some walls with lasers on them, but basically you're just constantly running and there's constantly people chasing you. So we play this and we play this and we play this after we play something else. So we need a 2. So we play this. And we do this. And turn. Next game we have on Steam is a low effort asset flip called Nazi 2. 40% off for $30.59. I don't think with a name like that and like not widescreen, terrible asset flip first person shooter game. I don't even know if you call this as an asset flip as much as you call this just, it looks like it's using assets from 1990. But yeah, nothing more needs to be said about that game. Let's see, next game we have is called Alien Revival Episode 1 Duty Calls. This is another game that is like really old looking. And so I don't know if these are, whenever I say game that is this old,
Time waits for no one.
I wonder if maybe it is from the 1990s and it's just getting re-put out. But either way, episode 1's a problem. It's $2.99. The graphics look terrible. It looks like an asset flip first person shooter. Moving on. Okay. We do this one. And if I do this one, I can't do this one. So what else do we want to do? Let's play a 2. And do this. Alright. Nothing here. I'm just gonna kill this. So that was probably wrong. That. And that. PC Gamers has an article, solving puzzles is only part of the fun in the adorable Tiny Bubbles game. Tiny Bubbles is a game that I've on my wish list. It looks like it is a colorful little puzzle game. Seems something kind of like maybe a match 3 game with a new twist type mentality to it. It's $10 with 172 puzzles, so you're getting a pretty good bang for your buck, assuming you like the concept at all.
Time waits for no one.
Let's see. I guess I'll double check to make sure it's on my wish list. It's 100% positive right now with 14 user reviews. It came out on May 8th, 2018. So another great example of just, man, does the rating system not matter at all in Steam? Okay. PC Gamer has an article, Lancelot and the Talking Dog take on Jack the Ripper in this adventure game. This is from May 3rd. Why is this article coming back up? Interesting. Like, I remember reading this article, and like, this was a Kickstarter game that fell short of its goal, and they're still planning on releasing it, so apparently PC Gamer is now going to start retweeting old articles? I don't know if this is very much video game related, but James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy series and was working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, was fired by Disney after some old tweets that, from what I hear, he had already apologized for, resurfaced and got mentioned by people that I think inherently what this is a case of is, and this is an issue with a lot of people, myself included, is like nothing's ever forgiven, or nothing, you can't ever change your stance on anything without looking like a hypocrite. So like I believe if I've heard this right, James Gunn was kind of SJW trying to get other people fired for what they had posted and said, and some people brought out, well, you know, you've made those kind of jokes too, so let he who without sin cast the first stone, to quote Jesus. I think the internet's gonna go through a slow learning process in which they are going to decide to be more forgiving of what was said. Inherently, too, this is a problem where apologizing just does not work. So there's kind of no reason to ever apologize. A lot of people are not happy with James Gunn being fired, and they want him hired back because he was doing a good job, and from all reports I've heard, he was loved by all the people working with him. So, like, if he's making dirty jokes and edgy jokes from a long time ago, that's something that Disney, I think, already knew about, and they're just caving to pressure, which, I mean, it's hard to make an argument that ArenaNet shouldn't have caved to pressure, but Disney should. I don't think ArenaNet really did. I think with the Jessica Price thing in particular, I think she probably talked herself into getting fired when they all got back into the office after that 4th of July. I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if the meeting was held kind of badly so that both employees that got fired were in the same meeting. They were having a conversation, and then she talked herself into getting fired, and we're going to have to let you go. And maybe the other guy talked himself into getting fired too. There's more to the James Gunn story. Apparently the dirty joke that he tweeted was original. He retweeted a dirty joke from a guy who's now been convicted as a pedophile, and so now people are calling him a pedophile, like, which at this point that's just internet, like, you call him a Hitler and you call him a pedophile immediately when you hate somebody. I think Disney probably overreacted here, but Disney is Disney, and when you work for Disney, you're at a different level. It's kind of questionable why James Gunn ever worked for Disney in the first place. And I'm not sure James Gunn needs his name on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So maybe they just have him ghostwrite it and pay him under the table. Maybe he writes it under a pseudonym and directs it under a pseudonym. Maybe Disney thinks this will blow over soon enough that they can hire him back later. Inherently, Disney's got a lot of stuff to worry about right now, and one more controversy certainly doesn't help them. But that doesn't really have much to do with video games. It's just the in general thing. It's like Twitter has led a lot of people astray. Clearly, people did not understand. understand clearly that it was an open forum. Did not understand that the internet was forever. It's kind of weird too, because these are usually older people who should have been on the internet and should have understand how it worked, but it seems like they were probably not really the nerds who were on the internet, so they got pushed into being on Twitter and doing it, and like, because yeah, a lot of the people, a lot of famous people on all sides treat Twitter as if it's the first time they've ever been on a service, which it really shouldn't be. They should have been. They're mostly all of them are old enough to have been on chat lines and well, not chat phone lines, but maybe even then, chat boards, BBSs, forums. They should have known how the internet kind of works. But in general, they should know that the internet is kind of like high school at times. It can be very immature, and they should have been more careful as public personas, or people who even had the ambition of being public personas. And I guess general people should just be, you just shouldn't put things on Twitter in general. Speaking of Twitter, I had the horrible experience of my ad blocker not working on Twitter for half a second, and boy, is it awful when you see ads. Twitter is acceptable when you have the ads all blocked, but oh, it is full of all kinds of tweets for all kinds of ads that look exactly like tweets, and I'm looking at this and like, why is there a tweet here from Progressive Auto Insurance? I don't follow Progressive Auto Insurance, and it's like I click on it to block them or something, and it's like, why am I seeing this ad? And I'm like, oh, so I'm seeing ads now. Let me refresh the page and update my ad blocker so that stops happening. No, which I use. I think uBlock Origin is the program on Chrome. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article, Old School Shooter Ion, that's ION, Maiden, delayed, adds multiplayer beta. I think I talked about that too. See, I went through some of these articles, and I think in the process of going through these articles that there was this issue of reading them too many times now, so it feels like I've already talked about them. I probably didn't. We've got a game on Steam called George's Memories Episode 1. It says it's an adventure indie casual simulation. Looks like it might be a walking simulator. But the Episode 1, it's 20% off for $1.59. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like it's an asset flip, although in all actuality it is an asset flip. All these walking simulators are just that. Let's see. Well, let's try this. We'll go through the course of 2 turns. Can I win? No. So I've got to do this. And this. And this guy will do 8 damage. So if he gets 1 way to do damage again, that would be bad. So I'm going to play a little conservatively because I'm trying to win. So what do I do about George's Memory? Episode 1. I think I skip it. I think this is it. Well, it's a pretty looking game. No, I'll be generous. I'll put this on my wish list and keep an eye on it. It's I love visual looking games, so a pretty looking game will we'll give it a little bit of a chance. It only has 3 user reviews right now. Guess we could go look at the user reviews. Yeah, nothing amazingly bad in the user reviews. We'll keep an eye on it. Probably never play it. And I keep on losing. I'm still trying to win, right? Yeah, we need to move over to something else then. Let's try a mage game. See if we can get a victory there. PC Gamer has an article, Resident Evil 2 Remake. Producer details how Leon and Claire have been reinvented for the remake. Claire ditched her short shorts for jeans, apparently. That's kind of all this article is about, is what we talked about before, is just a new outfit idea. Yeah, we've got an early access game on Steam called Sniper Zombie Killer, which clearly is an asset flip, obviously. Let's see. The thumbnail that they used is slightly interesting. It seems like they've maybe decided to put... Yeah, all the zombies are actually just girls with clothing torn, damaged on them. Yeah, all the zombies are female. And in the screenshot you're seeing the main character wearing a skirt with her knee knelt down, and so you can see clearly her underwear, and her shirt is see-through with kind of pasties. So yeah, this is trying to sell on sex instead of quality. Clearly, it's tagged action, nudities, sexual content. It's English, French, German, Spanish. It says it's doing everything.
Nice to meet you.
You can actually play the game. All 27 supported languages. Yeah, they just clicked the box on everything. There's no way this game supports English, French, Italian, German, Japanese, Russian, Hungarian, Polish, Portuguese, Swedish, Thai. No way. This is just a lie. Can you flag a game for saying it has language support when it doesn't? Not really. There's frame rate issues apparently. It says it has 132 different women, 14 different zombies, plus 132 women zombies. Each woman will become a zombie if any zombie bites them. Let's see, 10 types of different weapons, 60 language localizations. Yeah, that's a lie. That's clearly a lie. 16 types of panics, 20 types of wounds, 17 types of death, 15 types of walking. There's no reviews on this game. I would say the more like this recommendation seems like it's getting better though, because this game is bringing up a recommendation for some other terrible sell on sex only concepts too. And I don't know if I really have time to mess around with these jokes of a game. Honestly, it doesn't look too awful, which is inherently the problem with asset flips at this point. Alright, now I'm looking at an animation of a girl just swinging her arms wildly and walking ridiculously. So this doesn't even, it's not even a game where the zombies are really going towards you and are going to hurt you. The zombies are running towards the women and you're protecting them as they run or walk awkwardly in straight lines directly towards the zombies.
Job's done.
Which I assume there's a certain point in the line where once they cross they're safe. You're as the sniper on a bridge that you can look forward and backward. And you're looking at a lot of people you're trying to protect with your sniper gun. Inherently, as a concept of a game, this isn't a terrible concept where you're protecting people with a sniper. But yeah, this game looks pretty boring. It would have to be faster. This feels like this would be a mission in another game. Something you do in like Battlefield or Battlefront. Protect this point. And now in the demo, the player just decided to shoot all the people they were supposed to be protecting. I'm trying to see what, if this trailer goes anywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually not that many, not a different level or anything. See, all these girls are just like different skins of the same model, different clothing, and that's just asset flips. And there's so many of them, you half wonder if they were even paid for. If I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat and suspect that maybe all of these assets were stolen too, that would explain even more. Yeah, this trailer is just going on and on and on and on. It's like a 5-minute trailer, and it's nothing other than that. Yeah, this game is garbage. Let's see if they made anything else. Yeah, they've made a couple other games, none of which have been reviewed at all. Oh man, I don't have time to be covering games like that though.
What to do? What to do? Next game we have on Steam is called Mystic Runes. It looks kind of like a Game Boy Color game. It's square, it's top down, looks kind of like a Zelda-esque. It says navigate the labyrinth corridors, solve the puzzle, gain treasure, survive the onslaught of the monsters within. So, yeah. It looks like a Zelda-esque game, square frame format, with abilities. I kind of want to wishlist this game, but I also kind of have to question, is there a reason to make a game look this way? Like, you're really just playing to nostalgia of limitations of portable games. You could make this same game widescreen and just have a much better experience with it. Time runs out on me.
Like, I wouldn't even really call this an 8-bit pixel like retro aesthetic. I'd just call it making everything really small.
Says it has an all-time peak of 1 player. It's 15% off for $2.54, but I want to be kind of generous here. Let's see. But yeah, I'm gonna wishlist this and keep an eye on it. But this game, Mystic Ruins, is a hard Mystic Ruins, R-U-I-N-S, by the way. It's a real hard sell. It's too expensive. It's aping an old artistic style for, I think, really no reason. Also freezes. There we go. Moving on. Next game we have on Steam is called Frostbite Deadly Climate, which says it's an action-adventure indie violent free-to-play. Seems like you're running around a school with an axe, maybe picking up other weapons. Seems like you have a gun. And okay, the school exits out into a frozen, snowy place, so it's like a post-apocalyptic type scenario.
Do not fear power. Fear those who wield it.
Well, I've got this game in the bag.
Job's done.
Yeah, this game Frostbite Deadly Climate just looks kind of like a mix of a cheap asset flip for a first-person shooter and a cheap psychological horror type game.
Put this apple on your head.
It's free, so the price is right, though, so I can't really complain about it. As for most free games, though, I'm going to skip it. I know that I have said earlier in the stream there is one free game made by students that I want to play, but I think that's a special exception because of the fact that students made it. And as a person who's into programming himself, I'd be interesting to see the level of quality they do. PC Gamer has an article. Anna Podemworna, that's Podedworna is the last name. Her art brings the world of The Witcher to life. And then this is a PC Gamer that's really just showing a bunch. Really, it's only like 3 pictures of The Witcher. PC Gamer is still really obsessed with The Witcher. A year later, they need to get over it. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. So we got that victory, but I needed 3 victories. Well, back again, I guess. We have a game on Steam called Crime Stories Days of Vengeance, which looks like it's just a match 3 game. So that seems like a very strange name now that I'm looking at a game that this is literally just Candy Crush.
Jaina versus Jaina.
A Candy Crush clone
You asked for
with
it.
a theme
It is
of crime, you know, mob crime in the old days. And this is straight up just Candy Crush, 100%. Crime Scenes Days of Vengeance is 40% off for $1.79. Question is, how many puzzles are in here? 95 challenging match 3 puzzles, 32 upgrades divided into 8 chapters as the story unfolds. So if you really love Candy Crush, but you don't want to give money to Candy Crush, Crime Stories Days of Vengeance might be something that suits you, but then you're probably funding another disreputable company that is pretty much just stealing an idea and doing nothing new with it. This is from a developer who's released 2 other games, one called The Chronicles of Noah's Ark, which is a Candy Crush clone, and the other is called The Enthralling Realms, which is a fantasy-themed Candy Crush clone. And yes, I see this developer now and remember them, and it seems like they are kind of intent on flooding Steam.
Midsummer Fire Festival.
They feel like they're intent on flooding Steam with some Candy Crush clones. Way too late, frankly. We've got a game on Steam called Snoobly, S-N-O-O-B-L-I. It says it's an indie casual action adventure game. I have no idea what this is. Thousands of years of knowledge taken by the strangers from humanity. Unleash your mind and join the heroes of the Snoobly to lead your world back to the knowledge to take it back. There's these 3D animation of your main character and such, but so you're the spaceman in a spacesuit and you're fighting against aliens, and you're playing some kind of like dice rolling game now. So they've put a lot of polish on what is just a dice rolling game. It seems. Or
we must cleanse the Sunwell.
Something. I don't know how this game plays, but it's clearly got way too much effort in the visuals for something that doesn't seem like a legitimately fun game. They want $19.99. Says Snoobly is a cross-platform turn-based brain teaser logic game designed to play 4K or FHD, which is I don't even know what FHD stands for per se. Let's see. There are no reviews for this game, Snoobly. It's just too expensive. I don't think anybody's gonna try to play it. It says it has single player, but it seems like it's mostly multiplayer oriented also. This whole idea is just crazy. And this is the first game from this developer according to Steam. Moving on, I suppose. We have an article from PC Gamer. The designers of Dishonored, Bioshock 2, and Deus Ex swap stories about making PC's most complex games. We brought together an all-star cast of designers to chat about past, present, and future of immersive sims. Read along or listen along. So it seems like they have some audio here where you could listen to them. And so this was like a audio recorded interview, and then they've broken it down. This is a rather long article, and I'm not sure there's too much of interest that was said here. And like they even have a second page on this, because had there been anything interesting said, then the game industry would have almost certainly they would have taken a quote from this interview and reported on it. I think I might want to listen to this. Certainly, if you're interested in the development of games, you might want to interest us. Wow, 30 pages. But also, I don't think it's inherently going to give you too much insight or information. There's not going to be little leaks or hints about what the next games these people are working on.
I wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 pages long article from PC Gamer, where most articles by PC Gamer barely take 1 page. I guess it is appropriate though that the what am I trying to say here? It's kind of appropriate that the developers of games would be long-winded. You kind of need them to be long-winded and keep on talking about stuff.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Dolla World. That's D-O-L-L-A. It says it's a traditional 2D RPG using 3D rendering method. You have multiple routes to explore the world. You will be stronger and stronger and knowing more and more truth. Seems like this is a Chinese translated to English description. Let's see. Early access action indie. I'm seeing a not turn-based system fighting bosses, so it's a hack and slash top-down game fighting a cavalcade of bosses. That's not an inherently bad idea. It looks animated pretty well. Seems like there's upgrades and a decent menu system. This actually looks like a pretty good game on the face of it. Single player only. Let's see what languages it supports. English and simplified Chinese. And they want $3.99. Well, I can't recommend playing Dolla World right now. There's nothing here that looks bad. In fact, this looks rather good compared to just the extremely large amount of RPG Maker games I've seen. This is not an RPG Maker game, even though it's an RPG, certainly. And so, from that...
Do not fear power. Fear those who wield it.
From that information, I'm gonna wishlist this game and keep an eye on it. I'm almost out of news, which is good because we're almost out of time too. The next game we have on Steam is called Mars Trooper. Looks kind of like a Unity game. First-person shooter. Looks like a mobile phone game. Very colorful. But I don't think that there's really much here to say about it. I don't think it's good. It's 40% off for $3.59. Yeah, just looks like a mobile port.
I must decide.
Let's see if this developer has made anything else that would make me change my mind on that. Let's see, this developer's made several other games, none of them have ever been reviewed. So yeah. I see no reason why I'd want to play Mars Troopers. Actually, considering how many games I played today, I covered today, there's actually a considerable considerably large amount of. Let's see. Well, if we play this now, or
Time
we
melts
can do
away.
this. Let's do this, and this.
Job's done.
Yeah, considering the number of games I've looked at today, there's not been that many I actually wishlisted. So most of them were bad anyways, regardless of the fact that I had already filtered through a lot of these older games from Friday. Next game we have on Switch is called Switch Black and White. Next game we have on Steam is called Switch Black and White. Seems like it's a minimalistic game where it seems like it's like black and white things and things flip back, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what else there is to do with that. Basically there are objects, I guess, that you interact with that there are things that you can see when you're in white mode, and there are things you can see when you're in black mode, and you have to switch back and forth as a ball is moving to let the ball make it to the puzzle. Inherently, that's not a fun sounding puzzle game. And this guy has a 100 Steam achievements. It's 10% off for 89 cents. In fact, I want to see all the achievements it has, because it is a list of words for the achievements, like about, achievement under, AFK, am, and, are, as, background, be, bad, best, boss, boy, buy, calm, coffee. And clearly this is a game designed to sell because people want those achievements to spell something out. I don't know why people want those achievements to spell something out there, because frankly, it doesn't matter. You can type whatever you want, you know, on your profile already in the description. So yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. The let's see. The James Gunn story, I guess a slight follow-up to that is Randy Pitchford yet again put his foot in his mouth and said if James Gunn was working at Gearbox, we'd have his back. I mean, he's so virtue signaling there. And he did it with the Nita Price thing. He did it with this. Look, he's the CEO. If he wants to hire James Gunn for Gearbox, he is totally capable of having that happen. And frankly, if you can pay James Gunn's salary and Gearbox could hire him, that would be amazing. Maybe he's got some non-compete clause where he can't work because he worked with Telltale for the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game. That might affect it a little bit, but otherwise, get him at Gearbox if you want to support him. If you want Anita Price and the mess that she's gonna make at Gearbox, hire him. Send that direct message, but do not go online publicly and say you would support these people when you really haven't done your research, which clearly is the case with Randy Pitchford. He just shoots his mouth off. There's no doubt about it. Everybody knows it. He hasn't done his research. He's not really hiring them. If he was going to hire him, That should have been his first announcement, is that we've hired these people. Heck, if I had the money, I would hire James Gunn. I wouldn't care one bit about his old joke tweets. Like, I would hire him in a second. I couldn't afford him, certainly, but I think Gearbox probably could. Maybe it'd be a little bit expensive. But he might also come at a premium right now as people try to disassociate from him. But by going public, whether you hire him or not, Randy Pitchford puts all of Gearbox and himself in this position where he's taken a side on a controversial topic, which everything's controversial now, so he shouldn't take a side on anything. He should just be like, we make video games and that's it. And so now there's going to be probably a small group of people that are less likely to want to support Gearbox than there were before. And so Randy Pitchford, through bad management and just bad PR, is hurting his own company. Moving on, Your Gamer has an article. Here's a look at here's our first look at the new Sly Cooper TV series. It's for 6 to 10 years old, question mark, really, question mark. All I'm seeing here is what looks like a artistic rendering. I kind of have a hard time believing that that's what the game is, the TV series is going to look like. It's kind of interesting that Sly Cooper is getting a TV series instead of a video game. But I'm not sure the Sly Cooper series really succeeded as much as people would have liked it to. Just didn't get enough popularity. We've got a game on Steam called Music Racer, which you're driving a car made out of neon colors down a winding and twisting neon road full of shapes. Generally speaking, when I say neon, I'm talking about a Unity game that is just neon squares and triangles and circles on a flat 2D plane. In this instance, you're in a fully 3D neon highlighted outlined world. You're going through a 3D tunnel and there are neon red and blue flashing rings you're going down, and on the side you're seeing buildings left and right of you. They seem to be kind of spinning and moving as the things twist, and meanwhile you're staying between what looks like maybe only a few lanes of music, or maybe no real consistent lanes of music, trying to hit these white note blocks, I suppose, and avoid these blue beams that I assume you would crash into. So I don't know if I could ever really play a music game, but this game is very positive, 98%, with 54 user reviews. At 54, I think that's legitimate enough for reviews to say this game is very good. I'm gonna wishlist Music Racer. I would recommend, if you like music games, you try this. This game came out in English and Russian, but don't let that scare you. It's 33% off for $1.33. $1.33. You need your own music files for this game in order to play, so it's just importing MP3s, OGGs, FLACs, or WAVs, which is certainly interesting. Not something you see a lot of. Let's do
this. And let's...
Time runs out on me.
Job's done.
So they didn't have to go through any of the licensing rights to... you still need your MP3s, but I kind of like that idea too, because that means theoretically I could go download some open source music and play this game on a semi-consistent basis if I was to say stop playing Hearthstone, which I'm not going to do. I feel like Hearthstone is going to be like World of Warcraft. I'm just going to play it for the rest of my life, and there will just always be an audience playing it, even if it's a always slightly diminishing audience. But if I was to play this, I could use open source software, open source music over and over again, and reduce the chance of being
I wonder.
let's see. Yeah, reduce the chance of being content ID'd and claimed copyright. Let's see, PC Gamer has an article, the best visual novels for beginners. Let's see, they're saying they mentioned Clannad and Grisaia trilogy, Grisaia. Let's see. But I'm not sure that those are the games they're actually suggesting. They're suggesting Cherry Tree High Comedy Club. And they say one of the biggest barriers of entry with visual novels is getting used to the fact that you're going to be spending hours in front of a computer screen staring at character portraits while reading text. Cherry Tree Comedy Club is more of a hybrid. Let's see what we want to do. That. Part simulation game, part visual novel. I think the hybrids are certainly going to be the ones that win for me. This is probably a good list where I should just go wish list or follow each of these suggestions. Next one they have is called Dandelion Wishes Brought to You, that they suggest for new people. I think part of the point of visual novels falls apart on PC nowadays too, because it would be a better experience on a cell phone where you could play while in transit, on a bus or driving to work, assuming you're not the one driving. Let's see, we need to play 100 class cards now. We're gonna go a little bit long here as we wrap up. Just play this secrets deck, and we can play ranked while we're doing that. Next game they suggest is Long Live the Queen. Next game they suggest is Head of a Boyfriend. I tried to play the Christmas version of that and just still killed me. Next they suggest If My Heart Had Wings. Next they suggest a game called Cinders. Haven't heard of that one. That one looks like
the hunt begin.
Looks like a more Western. Next one they suggest is Analog: A Hate Story. That's a game I've seen before. Next one they suggest is Fault Milestone 1. I keep having to click to move this article down. And next they suggest it's called World End Economica Episode .01, and that's the entire list. Alright, so there's a list from PC Gamer of introductory visual novels to play, the best visual novels for beginners, and I'll keep an eye on that and maybe wishlist those games. I still don't feel like I'm in the right position to
to be covering those type of games, but we'll see. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Cluster Disaster. It says it's an action casual game. Player takes the roles of a defensive computer program whose system was attacked by a deadly computer virus. Alright. What is the game really? Seems like you're doing a Tron-esque thing where you're rolling around in a world with some walls. Like, are they straight up doing the light cycle thing, or are they doing something different?
Job's done.
This trailer that I'm looking at is bad. The graphics are just bad. Frankly, I don't care. It's so bad looking, Cluster Disaster, I don't want to play it. It's 20% off for $3.99. It looks like a 90s game. Maybe there's a game here, but its own trailer is locking up, it seems. So moving on, next game we have is Way, W-A lowercase y-e. Everything else is uppercase.
Gotcha.
Hit this one.
Job's done.
Way says it's a casual indie simulation strategy game. Looks like it might be a pirate boat type game. No, it starts with a trailer where you sink in a boat and then you have to survive lost at sea. Kind of like Raft, which I don't know
I'll put it on your
how much of Raft. And well, you're lost at sea, but you get on an island, and it seems like in some amount of time you have an entire shack, and you're doing the Minecraft thing of collecting resources and building things. It's not blocky or anything like that. It is instead a realistic looking game. It's not too bad looking, so maybe I'll keep an eye out for it. It's 40% off for $3.59, which probably means that it's not going to get any continued support. And without that continued support, I don't know how you have a consistent, good experience.
Gotcha.
Let's do this. Do this.
Job's done.
Should have played this, actually. Let's see what the reviews say on this. Let's see. The one review I see is not recommended. Maybe I don't get the game, but neither does my friend. I'm dying even though my stats are good. Seems very early. Maybe a decent game with a ton of polishing. They need to get rid of the mouse wheel selection and go to a normal drop-down mouse style. I guess it's alright for a game under $4, but it really needs some better interactions and content. The swimming system also is absurdly stupid. I should say mash a bunch of keys over and over again if you walk into the water. Yeah. I think I can ignore Way, and if it turns out to be a great game, people will let me know. But there's such a high chance that it won't. The minion died this turn. It's costing 1.
I moves quickly.
And we've got a game called Rydo from the Stars. That's R-I-T-E. It says it's an adventure game. It looks rather interesting, like a really well animated 3D. Seems kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie-esque character game. You're playing as this character with a leaf over their face, and you're solving puzzles and platforming, and seems like there's a little firefly-like character that follows you around. They're calling it Spirit. Yeah, this looks like a AA quality game, like something worth keeping an eye on at least. It's got a reasonable amount of language support for the West. 10% off for $13.49. The price is a little high. Like, they're saying that it took them 4 years to develop this game. Alright, this. And
Gotcha.
this. And this. And this. And this. And that. This was a Steam Greenlight game at some point. And the one review I see is recommended. So yes, this game a right from the stars. Even though a little expensive, will go on my wish list, and I'll be happy to do that. And finally, we have a Common Stitcher article. Pokemon Go developer Niantic has acquired Seismic Games. Seismic Games comprises industry veterans from studios like Activision and Pandemic, and has worked on mobile and VR titles, including Mobile Strike Force and Blade Runner Revelations. Neither one of those games really inspire any confidence in me. If a minion died this turn, game poisonous.
Job's done.
Let's see. So Niantic is still working to make games, certainly, which is good. There's a lot of companies that aren't. And I'm at the Humble Store. Let's see. I think at a certain point, I am just gonna have to subscribe and save to the Humbly monthly thing, and see if that really gets you games, or if it's just getting you discounts on new games. The only game bundle right now we have is the CI Games game bundle, which is a collection of mostly sniper games, and nothing has unlocked new, so there's no change there, which means I can go back to Twitter and see the 7 new tweets that there are to talk about, which probably isn't much to say. Let's go and kill this guy, kill this guy, do this. I didn't run Nightbot today. That would have been smart to do, but I started so late. I'm just kind of happy to be finishing at this point. Let's see. Hey, and Twitch has updated slightly. Twitch now in the pull down menu says get bits, so I can apparently buy bits. Wow, you can spend like $300 on bits, get 250,000 bits or 25,000 bits. Let's see, to get 100 bits is $1.40. No more games are coming out, so you'll just have to come back every month for the next release of free games for Twitch Prime. I've received everything I ordered from Twitch Prime at this point. It was fine. Like the Prime Day sales really weren't great sales, but I got the things I was gonna get anyway, so I can't really complain too much.
Job's done.
Maybe next year I will buy a bunch of home remodeling things and do some remodeling, or have somebody else do the remodeling, perhaps. My Twitch channel's still working and still going, with the occasional Lego Star Wars game getting muted. Speaking of audio issues, Well, Twitch is muting it because of copyright claims. I listened to the most recent Lego Star Wars video, and that music is way too loud. I don't know what happened there. It seems like that happens sometimes, and it shouldn't happen, certainly, but it does. Let's see. This is probably the best card to play. Just keep on playing this. Might as well have them attack, I guess. So now I'm scrolling down my Twitter just to see. There's like one new game that came out on Steam. Well, I bet that's kinda it.
Drink with me, friend.
Koei Tecmo is apparently giving away games. There's a Skyrim mod that lets you ride Mechagodzilla. Just need to go a couple more turns and let them win. Here's Telltale Games retweeted a cosplayer doing Bloody Mary from The Wolf Among Us, which that certainly was a character that I think probably was visually interesting. They should have done a little bit more. So here I am. I have like one thing to do to finish this, so there's really no reason not to just save that for Wednesday, and then one quest on the Asian account that I can just save for Wednesday. So the question is, do I want to make people sit here as I scroll down on Twitter just to see if the world blew up? And clearly if the world had blown up, it would certainly have been announced probably on Twitter. PC Gamer requires freelance hardware writers. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a great job. I'm saying that sarcastically. I bet they make you pay for all of the hardware that you review, or they make you spend way too little time on it. Hearthstone aired 5 hours ago on my channel, and yeah, I'm starting to see just repeated news. So yeah, there really was only like 12 new things. I don't know if Twitter is kind of limiting me as far as what's on Steam, or if it's just a fact that Steam is sort of maybe started limiting people. Ooh, one of my friends just got a legendary. Yeah, maybe Steam has limited some people from putting tons of games out on the releases. We're back on track at least, so that's a good thing. It's been a alright stream considering I started late. Like, I can't blame nobody being on chat for anything other than I started late. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because all of that helps me with YouTube, tells them that my videos are worthwhile. When you subscribe, click the notification too. That way you can actually see some notifications maybe. If you want to friend or follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, Facebook, Battle.net, All of those links are down below in the description box. If you've got some suggestions for hashtags to use, let me know in the comments. That certainly would be helpful if there is a hashtag related to Hearthstone or video games or other things like that that would get me in front of more people's eyes. And then if you want to support me, and I definitely would appreciate any support, friend me on Steam, gift me a game off the wish list, just gift me any game you want to see me cover, or gift me a gift card if you don't want to pick. Also, if you have Steam keys, you can send those to me through a direct message on Twitter. That's it for this recording and the stream. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.